Cool. Welcome back to the Pels Pals podcast. Today we have a new guest, one of the Pels Pals from Cape Town, and today we're going to be having a pretty much a review of our trip to Costa Rica. Me and Prasheen. So introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, Prasheen, formerly known as the Pels Pals from Cape Town. But nice to meet everyone.
Me and Prasheen went on a trip to Costa Rica recently, and we kind of just wanted to tell you guys about the difference between Costa Rica and South Africa, what it's like out there, what kind of birds you'll see, because we went on a birding tour. And if you have any questions, definitely drop it in the comments below. But I think we will start out with pretty much like I want to ask you, Prasheen, like, well, what was your thoughts of Costa Rica in terms of just, I guess, the country, the habitat, and then maybe you can even go into how you got there actually in the beginning. Yeah.
So for me, Costa Rica was much better than expected. I think everyone has this perception of Central/South America to be this sort of third country type vibe. Definitely, the people were kind. I felt safe. The food was actually good, so we'll talk about the food a bit later. And in terms of like the climate and stuff, it's a very wide spectrum. Like, I mean, we were in the cloud forest, it's very cold, very like rainy, cloudy. We were at the lowlands, Caribbean lowlands, where it was super hot, like almost like Durban heat level.
It's
a very vast spectrum. And I think definitely for me, it killed a lot of the misconceptions about people birding in Central and South America.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even for me, it was like, we're going to this place. I think all the family people were just giving us warnings like, hey, watch out, you know, you see the news and cartels and whatever. But like, actually, it was like super safe.
Super safe,
the people were amazing. The food was great and all of that. But I mean, we went there for birding, right? So like, I guess, what was your favorite bird to shoot while we were there? Because I think I know what you're going to say, but
I mean, everyone's favorite bird is the quetzal, right? The pleasant quetzal. I think that's a generic answer. I think maybe looking besides that, for me, it was hummingbirds. Like, we don't get hummingbirds here. You have to go to the Americas. So for me, it was like a kid in the candy store. Like all these colors, people like flying across you. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, those are pretty much like ours. We have the sunbirds on our side of the world, and then they have the hummingbirds, and they don't have sunbirds there, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like this mix. And when we were showing people sunbird photos, and they were like, wow, and then they were showing us hummingbird photos, and everybody was wowed and stuff like that. But also the contrast of the landscape where we were, like you mentioned, cloud forest, and then you mentioned Caribbean lowlands. We went to different habitats. But what would you say makes it different from like what we normally shoot in South Africa? Like,
I think definitely number one, light. So cloud forest light comes with a premium. So we had to shoot high ISO. It's difficult to see birds. You have to focus on hearing the birds first, and then try to figure out where they are.
Exactly.
I think also the lowland was just heat. So the humidity is like absolutely like quite at least I felt it quite a bit there, and I think it made me a bit like, it was a bit strenuous trying to like lug heavy gear, trying to find the bird, number one, but like you're also still sweating and then using the energy to focus and stuff. So I think there's a very vasting contrast in how we bird in SA, because SA normally you get in the car. You drive on the road and you're going to see stuff. Whereas here, like the feeding system is very different, number one, right? So in Costa Rica, they feed hummingbirds. Otherwise, you probably won't see them because it's just too deep into the cloud forest. So that's something different. And I think in the lowlands, as I said, the humidity was a lot to deal with. I don't know how you felt about that.
Like, I mean, I just remember the first time we saw our first sloth, and I got out the car and I'm running to go look at the sloth. And I point my camera up at the sloth and it's completely fogged. And so that was something that we needed to learn, where we were told kind of the day before, put your camera in the toilet because you have the aircon on and the humidity and all of that type of stuff. We actually had to make sure our gear acclimatized to pretty much the outside conditions every single day. Also, it would rain randomly. So there was no prediction. It would say, oh, sunshine the whole day, but like that doesn't mean anything on the weather system. But I thought literally the same. Like, I think everything was very different. As soon as you go to different climates, cloud forest, it was cold. Like you said, light
is a premium.
Was a premium. So again, this is kind of my question when it comes to like equipment. What are your thoughts? Because we had to take long lenses. There was some short lens stuff, whatever. But like you also mentioned, the feeding system. Like, what would you recommend someone taking if they had to go to Costa Rica or I guess any of these like Central American countries?
Yeah. So for me, normally in SA for birding, you need at least 600 millimeters of focal length, right? And anything shorter than that is probably you're going to be too short. You'd be cropping in too much.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, I think use primes.
Yeah.
Because light is a premium.
Yeah.
Also, this is the detail that you get from primes you can't get in a normal zoom lens, right?
Yeah.
I think also getting a camera that has good AF is key, especially when you want the shots that no one else has, like the flight shots.
Yeah.
Also a camera that has very good ISO capability.
Yeah.
Because
I think mirrorless is almost key.
Exactly, because even wide open at like f4 on the 600 prime that I was using, the ISOs would range between 4,000 to 8,000.
Yeah.
And those were on good days.
Yeah.
Especially when it rained, it was a bit of a problem because then we would just be shooting like very slow shutter speed images. Flash is also a good thing to have there.
Yeah.
But I think another thing that I didn't realize until I was in Costa Rica was the hummingbirds are so habituated to humans.
Yeah.
You would get hummingbirds flying across you. You could feed them from your hand. Yeah. So I think definitely 600 for the birds that are a bit that don't like human contact.
Yeah.
But definitely for hummingbirds, I would take a 300 prime.
Yeah.
Or a 70 to 200 I use with the converter. For me, how did you feel? Because I mean, you bought a prime for the trip. Like how did that work out?
Yeah, so I went with the 400, the Sony 400 f2.8, and definitely, like you said, light was. I pretty much shot at f2.8 all the time because I would go f2.8, f4, f2.8, f4. I think that was the range that I shot most of my photos in, because you pretty much always under like these cloudy conditions.
Yes. Yeah.
Even in the Caribbean lowlands, like you said, rain, cloud. So it was really good for photography almost throughout the day. But when it came to equipment, you almost need that low f-stop number.
Yeah.
And like you said, ISO is through the roof.
Yeah.
So you pretty much, I think at the end of the day, some good denoising software. I think we always chatted about like DxO, and we're talking about Lightroom denoiser and denoising.
Yeah.
And then I guess any other product that people are trying to use and stuff like that. But like, I think at the end of the day, you definitely need like really good equipment, because the thing is, you can go there with some of the peeps that were on the trip that had like f5.6 primes and stuff like that, but like sometimes they would struggle at that f-stop number, and it was just like during the day.
But I also think like background separation on the f4 wide open is you can't beat that, right?
Exactly.
And I also think maybe people would think that the more sunlight there is, the better it is.
Yeah.
Technically, Costa Rican birds, there's hardly any dull birds. They're all iridescent.
Yeah.
So you actually want cloud cover.
Exactly.
And so you actually want those dark mornings and dark afternoons where you can actually get the color. But to get that color, you need the equipment like low f-stops and cameras that have good ISO to actually get the images that you see online and stuff. Exactly.
I definitely think I would recommend, like, I mean, we had someone on the tour that also had a DSLR, and like he got some great images. Like, but the thing is, he was using a prime lens. Over using a mirrorless camera. But I think if you have a combination of both of them, I think that's definitely great. But I definitely also want to touch on the feeder system, because you were saying how close the birds were also. In SA, when we go birding, it's very rare that we can just go to a spot and see probably like 10 to 15 species literally just right in front of us and get amazing photos. And we'll put some photos up so people can see some of the photos that we've gotten and stuff. But like, these birds are literally coming, sitting on a perch like very close. Maybe just chat about the feeder system versus like what we normally have in SA.
Yeah. So for me, there were two distinct feeder systems in Costa Rica. So one was for the hummingbird. So it's a sugar solution they would just put into like these feeders, and then there's like artificial flowers that they could feed through, so it mimics whether they're feeding from a flower or not. So I think for me that was like game changing, because we haven't seen that sort of feeding system in SA, because we don't have hummingbirds or birds that would want to come in from a feeder, right? And you could literally like touch the hummingbirds if you wanted to, right? They didn't really care about us being there. So definitely hummingbirds, they were much easier to get flight shots as well. Like it was easier than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I think for the other bigger birds, so like your toucans, toucanettes, they would put out fruit on a platform, and they would set up perches, so they would come onto the perch and then get their food and then jump back up.
Yeah.
Whereas in SA, we don't have that, right? Oh, we put out food, but they don't come in, right?
Yeah. I mean, even at my house, like I have some of the like the seed feeding and stuff like that. I put some out in like winter and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe like once a week for them, and mostly like the sparrows and the pigeons come and all of those type of things. Every now and then, you mostly for me is a water source.
Yeah.
Than really food in SA, because a lot of birds are coming to my bowl of water thing that I have there for to drink, especially during winter and stuff where it's not raining. At least in Joburg it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
So I'd see like barbets coming down and like all of those type of birds, but like generally you're not seeing anything else. Like you're not seeing like crazy, I don't even know, trogons. I mean, we literally had a trogon come and perch in front of us, like the male and the female, which was ridiculous. I think everybody's mind was just blown at that point. Everybody was like excited and like, oh my goodness, we need to get like in position, and like what does the background look like? But yeah, I think definitely the feeder system is very different, where like, I guess there's a lot more wild birds. So if you need to go to a spot, like you want to go and look for a specific bird, you probably have to go to a specific spot and probably wait it out for a few days. Whereas you almost like semi-guaranteed to see some species at the specific feeders. I mean, we saw woodpeckers like literally in front of us, whereas I don't think I've ever seen a woodpecker that close in South Africa.
I also don't think so. And there's the fact that the woodpeckers actually perch, whereas here they're like in a tree sideways behind you. It was. I think the thing is, it's been years that they've habituated these birds to come into feeders, whereas I think like SA is still far behind that, and maybe possibly we could get to that point, but again, we don't have the birds that would want to come to a feed in the first place.
I think so. I mean, there were some birds that they mentioned to us also. They were like, I think like the squirrel cuckoo that was there. They said it just doesn't come to the perch.
The scarlet macaws, they don't come down
scarlet macaws,
either.
exactly. We saw them fly over a lot, but like they never come to the perch. So there's some birds that just do not come to a perch, whereas like in SA, like we also don't, like there's a lot of birds that don't come. Like you'll maybe see them at hides. I think hides are probably the best way for you to get good shots in photography in South Africa, versus like there it's just a different like world. You can just get closer to the birds and stuff. But yeah, I think like aside from photography, in terms of like the food, what did you think of the food?
So I had my doubts. I feel like I'm a very, I won't say picky eater, but I have a small range of things that I actually enjoy eating. Food was amazing. I cannot sing enough praise. Like that was besides the birds, that's probably my most enjoyable part. The food was flavorsome. There was like different types of meat, fruit.
The fruit,
the desserts.
The desserts,
The coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I think I got converted on the trip. It was absolutely amazing. And for you?
I think the fruit got me, like those pineapples. I don't know what they put in there, but like those pineapples are amazing. And then the food was amazing throughout, especially at our last lodge. That place was crazy. Every night, every time it was like food time, lunchtime, breakfast, I was just like, I'm ready to eat, even if I'm full. Just because the food was really, really good. And the people were really, really friendly. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty amazing trip. Like, it also opened my eyes to just a different environment. There's a lot of like eco lodges there. A lot of people are looking to kind of like bring nature closer to people and stuff, but like without like cutting down forests and stuff like that. So I guess the birding tourism is a very big thing in that country. I don't know what you think.
Definitely. I think a lot of their GDP and income is generated by tourism, and specifically not just tourism to like go to beaches and stuff. It's actually ecotourism, to see birds, to get pictures of birds. So most people that are actually in Costa Rica actually has something to do with birds. Either they're drivers for the bird companies, they're private guides. So it definitely something that probably SA can hop onto, because I do feel that the people in Costa Rica are so conscious of the gift of nature that they have.
Yeah.
Whereas we take it very granted for granted in SA. Like we have Kruger, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But then besides that, like no one really like don't people don't put effort or care about stuff.
Yeah, I think there's so many places in South Africa that you can go to, but there's a very small minority, I guess, of people that actually go and enjoy these places, like really just like spend a lot of time in nature and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, and even just like I guess work in nature and
Yeah.
like in conservation and all of those type of things. So that was also a very big eye opener in that regard. But I mean, also like you said, like the people there, everybody's just like super friendly. They kind of wanna like help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I went on like some random walks also,
yeah.
like down to the forest. It's like, yeah, come, it's fine. Like we'll take you,
Yeah.
and we'll just go
Yeah.
and randomly look for an owl in the middle of the forest, which was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the one thing that I also wanted to mention was around like how did you get there? Like in terms of like the flights and
Yeah.
all of those type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things. Yeah.
So I mean, there's multiple routes to get there. I chose the route via America because I mean I went to visit family as well. I would guess a gateway to Central and South America is Miami.
Yeah.
So most of the flights are from Miami. So I mean, you and me flew through Miami.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the easiest way for me. Your side, how did you get there?
Yeah, so I went to London and then from London to Miami also. So I think Miami is the best like hub in terms of like an international hub.
Yes.
So the only problem with that is that you do need a US visa
Yeah.
in order to get there. Whereas I do know there are other routes from like Paris, so you can do South Africa, Paris,
Yeah.
Paris to Colombia
Yeah.
to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot less flights. Where I think we said there was like 7 flights per day or something from Miami.
I believe so. Yeah.
Some number like that. I think we'll check it out and stuff. But like, there's quite a bit of flights there. Whereas like I guess from these other places, it's like every Thursday
Yeah.
you'll get a flight from like Paris or whatever
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
But I think the nice thing as well for South Africans getting into Costa Rica is 180 days free, visa free.
yeah.
So that was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
majority of the time when I travel or when you travel as
Yeah.
well, we need to get visas because obviously where we live inside,
passports, yeah.
our passport system. Whereas Costa Rica was one of the few places that ticked all the boxes and was visa free.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was obviously an epic trip. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Any last thoughts?
Um,
Things that we forgot.
I think if anyone has these predisposed, misconceptions about Central America, South America birding, for me, it's been like taken away. I'd really, I think it's probably the top 3 best trips I've ever done.
Yeah.
Especially for best photography trip I've ever done.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I think what I would have done differently is I would have at least learned Spanish.
Yeah.
I think do a Duolingo.
Yeah.
Maybe get a bit more proficient in Spanish because I did feel like, although most of the guides speak some broken English and the guys that we were with spoke very good English,
English,
so we are fine. I did feel that we missed out on the cultural side of things. Where we could have spoken to other people in the lodges, other our driver.
Yeah.
I don't
Because
know.
our driver was awesome.
Yeah.
Like Alvin, shout out to Alvin if he ever
Yeah.
watches
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But yeah, he was amazing. But like, we couldn't always like interact, but we just kind of like interacted by like just vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think definitely that's definitely a good thing, and I think also a really good finding a really good tour company to go with. Like, I think this is the first, and you found the tour company.
Yeah.
You were just like, yo, I'm going to Costa Rica, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna join you
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you squeezed my rubber off.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we went with Tropical Photo Tours.
Yeah, so with Suprit and Magda, could not say anything better. They were, everything was well planned.
Yeah.
They knew the behavior of things. They put us in good positions. They're just great people to be with.
Yeah.
And I think the advantage of going with somebody that's actually been there before or with a private tour is that you get to the spots that you go to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, I mean, you can elaborate on this here as well, but a lot of time, the species that we saw very easily, we saw people on the side of the road looking for them.
Exactly. Yeah, no, there was a lot of people just like for the quetzal, for example, like we managed to get it like literally at a nest. I saw it at 2 nests even because I went on a random walk in the forest again.
Yeah.
And whereas we saw a lot of people when we were driving, there's like people are literally on the side of the road with like scopes and whatever, and we got like really good shots, whereas people are like looking at scopes of a quetzal like far deep into the forest and stuff like that. And I think definitely a good tour company is essential because I've done a lot of touring, like private birding tours. I guess we didn't touch on that. Like birding versus bird
Yeah.
photography.
Yeah.
But like with that and stuff like that, some people are like, I've done a lot of private and I've done some groups, whatever.
Yeah.
And with the group stuff, sometimes like it's not always like
Yeah.
focused on you. I feel like we were a very small group of 6 people, I think it was.
6 plus Magda and
And
Suprit, so 8 in
yeah, so
total. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean they were focused on us, and
Yeah.
it made us feel like, oh, we didn't have to worry about anything. I mean, I
Yes.
just got in the car every day and I was
Yeah,
like, what are we shooting today?
the food was
Yeah,
taken care of. All I needed to worry about is whether I can get up early in the morning,
yeah,
and then whether I had enough memory space. That's all I
yeah.
need to worry
And my
about.
batteries were
Yeah,
charged.
that's all I needed to worry
Exactly.
about.
Yeah,
But I think you touched on a good point there about birding versus bird photography, because
yeah,
it's two different things. I guess some people straddle in the middle.
yeah,
I know for myself, I'm more of a photographer than a birder. I
yeah,
do have a list and stuff, and it was nice to see some of the stuff
yeah.
in Costa Rica as well. But I believe you had a change of mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'm more in the middle now. I was more of a birder.
Yeah.
Always kind of like looking for new species and going to like all these places because I always wanted to photograph the birds, but like it wasn't like trying to get like a really great image of the bird. It was like if I could get a great image, it was cool. But if I got a record shot, I was also happy.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little bit converted where I'm like, oh, the bird is too far. I'll get a record shot, whatever. But like, I'm also like, I really want good photos
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
And I think Magda and Suprit helped me a lot
Yeah.
there because they were talking about like backgrounds and all of these things and like, where you should be positioned.
Yeah.
And, like,
Bird
look at
behavior,
you
focus on
need
this point. Yeah.
exactly. Like where the bird's actually gonna come out of the nest and he's actually gonna dip down. So focus on that. Like so, it's a whole bunch of like things where you like when you're in bird photography, you focusing on the getting a good photo of the bird, whereas just not like seeing it. So
Yeah.
I would say like if you had to go to Costa Rica on a 10-day birding trip, like we went on a bird photography trip, you'd probably get like 500 birds.
Yeah.
Right?
I think easily. Yeah.
Easily,
Yeah.
like because the thing is like you're gonna go to a spot, boom, 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 boom,
And
you're
then
gonna spend 20 minutes,
rinse and repeat to another spot.
and then
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas
Yeah.
like with bird photography, you're gonna spend time at a spot and you're gonna try and get a really optimal, great photo with a great background. You're gonna try again.
Yes.
You're gonna try get flight shots.
Yes.
You're gonna try and like actually spend time. And then we only ended up getting about 160 species. But
Yeah.
we photographed probably like maybe 130 of them, I would say.
Yeah.
There were some randoms where we saw like really great
Yeah.
birds, but we didn't get to photograph them because they were like, it wasn't a good photo.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great point that you make now where, the whole rinse and repeat if you're a birder, right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, the Quetzal, in those 3 sessions, with 9 hours with them,
Yeah.
I have like at least 2,000 pictures of a Quetzal flying in,
Yeah.
picking out, perch, the female. And for me, that brought me more joy than just seeing it like, oh, tick, and then what's next?
Exactly, because I mean it's a brilliant bird, and I mean sometimes you can just say you can take a photo and you can spend time with it, but like the thing is we saw it in the tree probably for like 2 hours
Yeah.
before it actually came and actually perched out like in a position where we could take a really great photo.
Yeah.
Otherwise it was like in the tree and we saw it, but I was like, oh, are we gonna wait for 2 hours
Yeah.
to get a good photo?
Yeah.
As a bird, I would have probably said, I have a record shot, let me go. Like,
Yeah.
let's go find something else.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I also think like with the whole private tour thing as well is that they go to things where no one else knows. For example, the sunbitten. No one else knew there was a nest, and then our
Exactly.
local guide in the area took us to the nest, and we got some amazing pictures that day.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'll even put up some video because I have a small little clip video
Yeah.
of the sunbitten on the nest with the baby.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, we got phenomenal shots.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's also I guess it's also like supporting local tourism,
100%.
local guides
Yeah.
there, and all of those type of things. And then yeah, I think maybe the last thing is let's talk about like currency. Because again, it's kind of like one of those things where it's a very dollar-based country.
Yes.
Whereas they do have a local currency. I think it's Kelowna.
Yes.
But everybody prefers US dollars.
Yeah.
So I guess from a South African point of view, I guess that gets a little bit expensive because I mean you're tipping people,
Yeah.
the guides and all of those type
Yeah.
of things in US dollars.
Yeah, I definitely think another thing I would change is carry much more cash,
Yeah.
but not like in large denominations, like small, like $5, $10, $20 bills, because that's how you tip, right?
Exactly.
And also, I mean, you can speak about your example, but it's actually easier to just get the money locally and take it there rather than go to the ATM and stuff.
Yeah. Because I drew money in Costa Rica and the charges, the fee charges from the ATMs there were actually really insane.
Yeah.
I've drawn money in multiple countries before, and like generally the fees are okay, and generally the fees are from your bank. but for some reason these ATMs had like their own fees
Yes.
attached outside of the banking
Yeah.
fees.
Yeah.
Even when you do the whole always choose the local currency so that your bank converts. That didn't even help because they just charged another premium on top of that.
Yeah.
So definitely, I would say for Costa Rica specifically, take some extra cash.
Yeah.
And definitely take some dollars and yeah, probably, and then you'll be able to tip. And like, yeah, like I said, $5, $10 bills,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
is probably your best bet there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe before we cut off as well, it's just in terms of like how strenuous birding was there. I felt it was actually low like low exercise. I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't do a lot of cardio there.
yeah,
I think
exactly.
for me, high altitude, I did get altitude. Like you could feel like you get tired much easier.
Yeah.
But I think the another advantage of going with the local guides and then with the photo tropical is they know the spots. Like you're
Yeah.
not wasting time. They know way to guarantee you good pictures, and
Yeah.
then you wouldn't waste time like stuff. There were parts where we had to hike through stuff
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
whatnot, but overall, I mean, I don't know how you felt about that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, like, I definitely agree. And I mean, even with the conditions, I mean, there was at some point we also I went to the forest
Yes.
when it was raining like insanely.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit like scary also because there's snakes everywhere.
Yeah.
But we went to go see some owls. So two species of owls that I went to go see there. And I really love owls. I know we were talking about hummingbirds, but
Yeah.
mine is like the owl thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the owls and stuff that we saw there. But like, yeah, nothing was strenuous. I think the guides were like really always making sure that like we weren't going up like crazy hills or whatever.
Yeah.
And definitely, like you mentioned, the high altitude, you kind of had to get used to it. You're like, oh, let me just go run to the car. And you're like,
Yeah.
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 But like, yeah, I think everything was good. Like, I mean, fantastic trip.
Fantastic hosts.
Yeah.
Couldn't say anything better to say about Magda and Supreet, our hosts. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping to do much more, Central American / South American birding and bird photography soon.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, we all get a chance to. Hopefully, you guys also get a chance to actually go out there. Hopefully, this video, yeah, gives you a really good perception of Costa Rica, and hopefully, you can also get some of the amazing birds that we saw. But yeah, I guess anything last from you?
No, I mean, take every opportunity you can get to get yourself to the Central and South America. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I cannot say like words kind of describe how amazing that place is.
Yeah, I mean, and then also just get outside. I think, like, at the end of the day, if you can't get to Central America, I think just go to your local botanical garden. I mean, we're here in Walter Sisulu today. We saw the black eagles this morning. Fantastic. So, yeah, I think just get out and I guess keep birding.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.